Welcome to a new hiking and history video series where I'm going to be walking the Hadrian's Wall path. This is part 2 of a 6-part series walking all the way from Wallsend in Newcastle to Bowness-on-Solway. Join me now at Heddon on the Wall, about 15 miles into the hike, and this part will probably be the longest part as I'm heading all the way past Chollerford, which is about 20 miles away. So whilst this was going to be probably the longest and most difficult day in terms of actual walking, the countryside was still as beautiful as ever and I occasionally got some sunshine. But the question remains, will I see more wall than day one? Hello everyone and welcome back to another hiking and history episode, part 2, day 2 of the Hadrian's Wall walk. And look what we have, it's right here. So I'm in Heddon on the Wall. If you've watched the last part, large stretch of it here, you can't even see. It's such a misty, cloudy morning, so it's quite atmospheric, even though I would prefer blue skies. Here we are, there's a big section of the wall remaining right here in Heddon on the Wall. I should probably say, because unless you've not watched part 1, I'm walking Hadrian's Wall over the course of like 5 days and recording all of it, so it's going to be in 5 parts this video. And in part 1 we went through Newcastle and ended up here at Heddon on the Wall, just in the countryside, but we barely saw any of the wall in part 1 because going through a built up area like Newcastle there's barely any of it left. But day 2 today should be getting a lot better, even if the weather is super cloudy. And already at the very start we have a pretty huge section of the wall here, so hopefully we'll be getting a lot more of this. It says this is, I think, the oldest remaining bit of like the broad wall, because it's bigger, so it's like thicker. They originally made it like this much thicker, and then as the construction went on they made it narrower. You can see sort of in the middle where they'd fill it with whatever that is and then put the stones on either side. Pretty cool. A few people about checking it out. Yeah, this is pretty fantastic. So I'll walk to the end of it and then we best start actually getting on the walk, because I've got a hell of a long day today. End up past a place called Chollerford, but I've got to go even further on to get to my accommodation. So without further ado, let's get going. Hadrian's Wall day 2. So yeah, it goes on all down here, quite a big stretch this is of it, and it's just there. It says on some information boards here that, as you can see, not much of it really left in terms of stones. All the stones were over hundreds and hundreds of years have been taken and used in other places. But this used to be up to about 4 meters high, 4.5 meters high it says. So I mean, it's fucking like massive structure. And then I think it's this, there's kind of like a ditch here, the remains of a ditch, which I believe the Romans built as well. I don't know which side I'm on, unless that's the ditch, just straight the other side. But I think it's this side, which is the ditch they would have made as well, just to make it harder for attackers, or just easier for anyone to see, for the Romans to see people coming. They had a defensive ditch, which I'm pretty sure is there. You can still sort of see it, which is very cool that we can still see that. But we made it to the end, but we've got to go back that way anyway. It's very cool, that is, shrouded in the mist. There's a very good illustration, an artist's impression of it here, which you can see. So the ditch here, which will have literally been here, you can still see the outline of it. That's so cool. And then yeah, up to 4.5 meters tall. And yes, this is one of the rare surviving broad sections of the wall, because as it was being built, plans changed to narrow it. Yeah, it's supposed to be 3 meters wide, but then it was narrowed to 1.8 meters wide. So that's clearly the north, and that's the south. Apparently this is the final shop I'm going to see for about 2 days, so I've got to stock up. This is going to be interesting, but 2 days without any kind of supplies, anything like that, unless I go really off course for about 3 miles. So it's going to get really remote soon. So I'm all stocked up. I was hoping I could dry these, the wind would just dry them, like what I've washed, but it's just kind of a misty spray in the air, so looks like there's a fat chance of these being dry today. So we are now on Military Road, as it says, which I believe was kind of the road that originated during the Civil War, English Civil War. And this road was sort of laid out and it cut through a lot of Hadrian's Wall, which there used to be a lot more of it here back then. But that's why so much of the stretch of Hadrian's Wall here isn't here, because of the English Civil War, and they just kind of destroyed it all. And the bit that we've just seen, that's kind of all that's left in Heddon on the wall. So I'm not sure if it was here, which side we'd be facing. I imagine that is the north and then this is the south, but I'm sure we'll come across more traces of it soon. Just following this road for a little bit. You can see on that sign it says Chollerford, 14 miles away. Gives an indication of what I've got to do today, because, well, Chollerford's is the end of day 2 on my map, on my guide, but my accommodation's actually further on from Chollerford. Not like massively further on, but a few miles at least, a couple miles, maybe 3. So Chollerford isn't even the end for me. I've got to carry on. I think probably today might be my longest day, but it does cut into tomorrow as well, so I'll make tomorrow shorter. This might be the ditch, you know, to be honest. This here, if the wall was somewhere along here, they had the ditch built, didn't they? And it does look like it's pretty visible, and it did say on some of the signs that the ditch would be visible for quite a while. Yeah, I do know that they cut all of the trees down from I don't know, 300 meters, I think, something like that, just so they could see, you know, well, obviously from the wall they could just see anyone approaching, and they just felled like tons of forest just so they could get a good view of everyone coming and going. We would probably have absolutely beautiful views all over the countryside here if this low cloud and mist weren't hanging about. You can never control the weather, so just don't let it stop you enjoying it. Just passing over another motorway, the A69 apparently, so you can all make your jokes in the comments. And it looks like I'm heading that way. I nearly completely missed this little footpath thing that goes over the motorway. It's kind of slippy, so I've got to be careful. There we go. Yeah, that was almost missed that. I was almost walking on the road. Just going through this field here, the motorway's right there. And you can still see some remains of it. So it was literally, we are following it exactly. You can actually see some original stones still in here. My guide said keep an eye out to the right, you can still see some, so that's very cool. There is still, it was literally on this embankment right next to us. I'm going to keep moaning about the weather, even though I've just said that, you know, it's still cool and atmospheric like this, but oh, if it was like yesterday in part 1, today this would be so beautiful, this whole bit. There's more rock, more stones there from the wall. Oh yeah, they're everywhere all along here. That's cool. So what looks like an unsuspecting just field in a farm with sheep on it. Actually a Roman fort is here, and you can kind of see how this is slightly raised, and it's raised pretty evenly. So this is the foundation of one of the forts, and it is here. It's called Vindabola. Vindabola? I'm gonna guess Vindabola. It was absolutely massive, one of the 16 forts built along the wall. But yeah, this illustration here would have been, so the walls going across, and then would have been this huge fort. But like I kind of mentioned earlier, it's literally just this foundation remains. There has been excavations here over 100 years or so, and there was even a little town sort of like just outside it. But yeah, as I said earlier, so during like the Civil War, a General Wade, he was allowed to basically just strip Vindobula as building materials for the road, the military road which we came across. So that's why there is barely any of it left, because of the pesky English Civil War. So there were these 16 forts all along, they were the bigger things, and then there was also the mile castles as well, which obviously every Roman mile or every 2 Roman miles there was like a little tower fortification type thing as well. We've already seen one in part 1. It was in the suburbs of Newcastle, wasn't it? There was like the foundations of it remained. But it's crazy, isn't it? There's just a huge fort here, nearly 2,000 years ago. It goes really flat there, so it was built up. I'm glad they still have some signposts and stuff like that, information boards around, because a lot of it is obviously lost to time. Unless you really knew what you were looking for, you would have no idea that that was there. But yeah, hopefully we should today, and definitely tomorrow, be seeing a lot more intact forts and mile castles and towers and things like that. Let's just go through this gate and carry on through another field with obscured views. I've just learnt as well in my guidebook that the fort that we've just passed was mainly used for cavalry, so all the horses, the armoured cavalry of Rome, well, Rome in Britain, on the frontier were housed there, which is pretty cool. And also, if you're wondering if Hadrian's Wall was a worthwhile investment for the Romans, it took them like 10 years to build it, and I imagine cost a lot of money and time and effort. Of course it did, to go all the way across the country. It was pretty much manned for like 300 years, so it's a pretty worthwhile investment really. It was, by the sounds of it, if it was manned for that long, successful and useful. I think there were periods here and there where certain areas were stopped being manned. I think the whole wall, I remember reading, it was never like fully garrisoned the entire time, like people patrolling all the way across it, all that kind of thing. You know, there were large sections obviously which were, it was just the wall was there, but you know, to get over it would be a hell of a lot of effort. So it did work as a border very well. But yeah, there are certain things like certain mile castles and certain turrets through the hundreds of years, through those 300 years, stopped being manned and then were repaired again and manned again. But overall, it was at like a lifespan of about 300 years before it started gradually just falling out of use completely. And well, with the fall of the Roman Empire really over the 100 years that took, Roman Britain was one of the first things to sort of fall by the wayside, because there was trouble, more pressing matters in mainland Europe. So the frontier here was abandoned. Took a little while, but yeah, it was one of the first things to go. Crossing Military Road. This is what the bastard bloody used to make this road, used all the bloody Hadrian's Wall. Here we are, Hollow Hill, 1.25 mile. Don't know what that is. I'm sure we'll get there though and have a look. Oh damn, that's steep. At the moment we are literally in the ditch, in the Roman ditch that they built. And the wall would have, I mean, I don't know at which side it would have been now, there's no evidence of it either way, either right here or right there. But the path literally goes through the ditch now, which the Roman soldiers would have dug almost 2,000 years ago. Just passing through this tiny little hamlet. called Harrow Hill, I think it was called. It's a nice little church outside. You can see here, big reservoir that I'm going to be going straight past. I think it's called Whittleden Reservoir, something like that. That's what it said on the sign just. So I know where I can have my next little bag break, because there's some picnic benches down there apparently. Yeah, the only trouble I'm having now is that I really wanted my the clothes that I've washed to be dried today, and I just don't think it's going to be, because there is like absolutely no wind. I'm sweaty. I think it's about 15 degrees, but it's just very still, but it's damp as well. So I was hoping the stuff that's hanging on my back would get dry, because the wind would be blowing and the breeze, and it would just slowly through the day dry it up. But yeah, they are still pretty soaked. But hey ho, just got to hope for a good weather day, which I'm pretty sure isn't going to be tomorrow either. I think it might be raining tomorrow, and then it goes hopefully back to okay for the rest of the trip. But some very pretty countryside along this part so far, and we are following the wall. There's just barely any of it left still because of the Civil War, and we're kind of just on the ditch still. But I do think we do come across larger portions of it soon-ish today. But yeah, it has cleared up a little bit now as well. I've got more of a view, which is nice. It's just going to be cloudy, I think, for the whole day, but at least it's not pissing it down or anything, so not bad. It's a whole system of reservoirs here. They're all down there. It's a nice old house, but they're all private. They're all sort of, you're not really allowed on them. This is the closest you'll be able to get to them, would be from the Hadrian's Wall path. They're all just fully nature reserves, all gates all on them and all that kind of stuff. So nice little area though. The sun briefly came out for about 20 seconds and then went away again. So again, we are still following the ditch, because the ditch of the wall is here. Obviously none of these reservoirs would have been here back then. Climbing up now, although we have got a little bit of blue sky cracking through now. It's still cloudy, but the sun is managing to pierce through the cloud now, so it's actually becoming a really nice day. Not much sign of the wall still, but following the ditch. This is the ditch. So literally the Roman wall would have been where the kind of hedgerow is. Coming up now to the Robin Hood Inn. So there are plenty of places along the way where you can, even though we are remote now, you can stop and get some food, drink, fill your water up, something like that. So, but we're not stopping yet. On we go. Back in the ditch. I should probably just call this, most of this day 2, just like the ditch walk. Actually just walking through the ditch that they built the whole time. There's a little cafe, it says, just down there as well. Yeah, I've not got a worry really about like actual proper food and drinking that way and getting water and stuff like that, because there are pubs and things along the way. It's more just kind of like a shop now, so like literally like a supply shop where I can buy, like, you know, you can buy drinks, like bottled drinks and snacks and stuff, like 2 days apparently, then I'll find the next one sort of on the path. Otherwise I'll have to do a big detour. Ooh, how big they like, you know, got this ditch though, it's insane. And it ran for like the whole length of it. It's absolutely mad. And now we're travelling over the ditch now, on top of it. This section of the ditch is all overgrown. Oh, there's a rabbit down there. So I do like at least that today we are actually following the actual wall. Where that wall is now would have been where Hadrian's Wall actually was. So we are following it very closely now, which is at least nice, because yesterday it's like houses are built are just everywhere. It's like they don't fully even know exactly the route the wall took, so it's nice to actually be on the wall and imagine, you know, the soldiers sort of patrolling these areas, the numerous guard towers and mile castles that would have been along the way, and the forts. I think they are all marked sort of on like a survey map, but there's nothing left of them because they knew exactly where they were, because they were built so specifically with the, you know, the whole like every 2 Roman miles there'd be a mile castle and all that kind of stuff. Still no wind though. I need wind. I need to dry my clothes. I do have to say that the path is actually really well marked for the most part. There was like a little bit of a confusing section coming out of Newcastle, but pretty much the whole way, like I've got my guide, and my guide's helpful, but you could, I wouldn't recommend it, but you could probably do it without a guide and just kind of follow, you know, the way markers and stuff. They are kind of everywhere, especially compared to the North Welsh coast, which I did last year, is my big marathon type walk. There were sections of that were really well marked, but then, you know, it's never guaranteed with these walks. There's some parts, some sections of that North Wales were completely devoid of any kind of signs and stuff. You really needed a guide. Whereas this, signs out all the time. You just got to look out for that little acorn. Sun is starting to pierce through here and there through the clouds, so I'm thinking the next few hours hopefully are going to remain like this and be absolutely beautiful. This is what I wanted. Oh yeah, countryside's stunning around here in Northumberland, especially when the sun's shining on it. You can get a good view of the ditch here, so the wall would have literally been there where the road is. It literally follows the military road. They must have just demolished all of it and just used all the materials for the road literally right there, because the ditch, as you can see, is just all overgrown here and the path runs right next to it. Got a sign here, road sign, that says Chollerford is 8 miles away. That's obviously by road, I don't know what it is on foot, but that sounds a little bit nicer. 8 miles. One below Carlisle, 43 miles. That sounds more horrific. Although I'm only day 2, 43 miles, and I'm almost at the end by the time I get into Carlisle, so who knows, maybe it's okay. But it's totally different by road. Like, you end up doing so many more miles by foot because you're kind of weaving in and out fields and things like that. You can go on a tank tour there, shooting tank rides. Damn, Turbo Venture, you better sponsor me for the promotion. Still on this military road. It goes on for absolutely ages and ages and ages. Oh, great view of the countryside there, the upcoming countryside from here, now that it has cleared out. It still is like a cloudy day-ish, but there are constant breaks now and plenty of sunshine. It's quite hot now, which is kind of good because it's slowly drying my stuff. My socks are actually not that bad now. Oh, there's a bin here. Hang on, I need to dump some stuff. Yeah, this is a beautiful view from here. Oh, I feel like I'm actually making decent progress now. Oh, it's a nice walk down here. Whether it's going to curve around the forest or that way, I'm not sure. Let's go find out. It says on my guide, I think I'm in the right place, that this is a good example of something called the vallum, which I've mentioned earlier, I don't know if it was today or on the previous video, about an area that they cleared, like 30 metres of like any forestry around the wall for 30 metres were just like cleared completely. And apparently, I'm pretty sure this is the spot, according to the guide. This is a really good place to see it, where all these little bumps are on the hills. This was probably full forest connected to here, that they completely cleared out as part of like the military zone around the wall. So, you know, no, everyone could be seen, no one could be sneaking up to the wall through forests and stuff like that. Yeah, you can sort of see the area there, the vallum that we're talking about. A cleared area where forestry was. Stunning view from here. On top of this hill, this is gorgeous. Although the sun's just dipped in. Yeah, clearly see the vallum here, where they've cleared the whole area, which would have been forest and bushes and all sorts. There's a gate here which leads down to like a fancy old house there, and my guide says that basically a lot of the Hadrian's Wall was actually built, well, that house is actually, a lot of it is Hadrian's Wall, because it looks very old anyway, the stonework does. So probably whoever lives in there now, imagine being able to say, oh yeah, my house is like mostly Hadrian's Wall. It's crazy. But it's not on the path. It doesn't even look like we're really on a path right now. Still following the bloody military road though. It goes on forever. See if we have to go back through this gate or just over. Oh, got sheep over this turnstile. Probably going to go sprinting off in a second. Yeah, they're not that scared. So I'm at that point now where it looks later in the day than it is. It's only coming up to 25 past 2 in the afternoon, but it looks way later in the afternoon now because quite a bit of thick cloud has come over. So I've still got a long way to go. Yeah, I'm at that point now where it's just seemingly endless fields. Feels like they're just not coming to an end, not getting to the next point. And hopefully some actual signs of the wall soon. So we're coming to a roundabout here, but it says, I think this roundabout, it's called Port Gate, but this used to be, before the roundabout was here obviously, used to be the main Roman road into Scotland, so past Hadrian's Wall into Scotland, and even as far as to, I don't know if I'm pronouncing this correctly, the Antonine Wall. And the Antonine Wall is kind of just like another Hadrian's Wall that was built further on, because they did try and expand again further into Scotland, and they tried to build another wall, but it didn't last very long. I think parts of it's still there, like Hadrian's Wall, but I think it only lasted around about 30 years or so. If I'm wrong, I'll put it up on the screen, because it doesn't tell me in my book, but I did read it somewhere. So yeah, this spot, the Roman road into Scotland. Just had a little break down on some picnic benches by a little coffee house there. There are still places to eat along the way, just no shops. And yeah, now I'm continuing on. Chollerford sort of is in sight, which is the end of today. In sight-ish. I'm on the final stretch now. But I have to say, day 2, beautiful countryside. But I did actually think there would be a lot more wall than there is. It's literally just the ditch you're kind of following most of the way. The biggest stretch of wall we've seen is still at Heddon on the wall where we started. There were little remnants of it, that fort that you could see the outline of. You can see the ditch right here. Following the ditch and where the wall was pretty accurately for today. And the countryside is stunning, especially when the sun's out. But yeah, I thought there'd be a lot more wall. I think by the looks of my guidebook, there are more remains of the wall kind of right at Chollerford, like really close to it. So I think Chollerford onwards is really where you know, you see a lot of the wall, a lot of the main wall itself. So I should still see some of the wall today, I think, because we've got to head past Chollerford. It's the one I'm dreading, because I suppose the guide ends day 2 at Chollerford, but my accommodation is further on, so I've actually got to do a bit more. So today's probably going to be the longest day, possibly. But there are some detours to like a bridge or something, a Roman bridge, or like the remains of a Roman bridge near Chollerford as well. We'll see how we're doing for time, because I'm starting to get a bit conscious of it, because I do need food later on in the evening, and I'm probably going to have to eat at Chollerford because there's nothing at my accommodation, my sort of hostel type thing today. Yeah, Chollerford is kind of the village that I'm going to pass through that will have a pub, so I kind of need to eat there before heading on, so that'll take a little while as well. So a little bit conscious for time, but should be doing okay. Don't think. Well, we're on the final sort of hurdle towards Chollerford now, so we're getting there. Heading into a tree plantation now, Stanley Plantation, if I can get this open. There we go. Oh, it's a tight squeeze. I think I'm coming to the end of the plantation now, all these felled trees and they're planting new ones, but if that is, that went fairly quickly. It looked quite big on my map, the plantation, so if I have finished it, I've made decent progress there. Got some encouragement there. Chollerford, only 3 miles. And even, sounds even better, Carlisle, 39 miles. That doesn't sound that bad. And that's near the end. But again, it's different with roads going straight. Here we are. So many styles. I wonder how many of these I'm going to climb the whole bloody journey. I think this is possibly one of the remains of one of the mile castles. It does mention one somewhere along here. There's very small remains of it left. So that could be it. These are dotted all over. I think the mile castles were the sort of bigger turrets. There'd be a mile castle and then 2 turrets and then another mile castle, all spaced evenly between most of the turrets. I mean, I will have been past countless, but there's literally just nothing left of them. But yeah, I think that was a mile castle. Some old ruins there, farmhouse of some sort, Victorian farmhouse. Looking out over this beautiful countryside. I think I'm crossing the road there, going over that side. This is a good spot here. A view of the countryside here, and you can see where the ditch would have gone. And the wall. Yeah, good view over here. We've got another traveller coming the other way. And to be fair, there are a fair amount of people still on the walk. Like, not all the time, not passing people all the time, but there's people. It is actively walked a lot. Look at these sheep staring me down. Go on out the way. Thank you. It is extremely cool when you can really see the ditch like that, of where it was properly dug out, and the wall literally would have been where the road is. I'm really excited to actually see full proper lengths of the wall, which probably all tomorrow mainly, but I think at the end of this we should get some more wall. I'm promising things here, no idea, but fingers crossed. It is very cool to know that kind of this frontier here is pretty much as far as the Romans ever got in their empire. Europe anyway, this side, westwards. I know technically he did go out and conquer a bit more, and with the Antonine Wall, whatever it was called, that's further ahead, but you know, not for very long at all. This was kind of their extent of their powers. This was as far as they could reach before their empire started to die the slow death that it did. And all this land, I think back then, was just Scottish, wasn't it? All this, even though it's not Scotland now. Probably just over those hills, maybe you could probably see Scotland, but all of this is still England. Not for long, but we do have, England is still all here. But I think back then this would have all just been Scotland, just Scottish tribes that they could never tame, they could never conquer the land. It's a gorgeous looking church, I think it is, just behind there, just encircled on its own. It's like a graveyard and stuff. Pretty sure it's a church. And on my map it says it's Heddon Fields. I don't know what that is. I'll probably have to Google it or something, but it's not on my map as like a detour or anything. So I'm not going to go there because I don't really... Am I going the right way? I am going the right way. Because I don't really have time. Yeah, I've got to go further on after Chollerford as well. So we'll see. And food situation. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, that's gorgeous, that is, isn't it? There. I don't know what it is, but... Or if you can even go there, but it's very pretty. Crazy how some cows really just don't give a shit about you at all, and genuinely, cows are no joke. Like, I've been chased by cows before out of a field. Sometimes they are ridiculously protective. That's why I keep looking behind me. I'm genuinely actually was a bit scared going through them. Usually if there's like, I don't know if there's babies or if there's a bull. I've been chased by cows like this. There was a warning in a field one time that said, warning, bull in field. The bull was chill, bull didn't care at all, but the cows went mental. They were like following me the entire time, kept charging. They kept chickening out at the end, like they would charge, and before they'd actually get to me they would like run away, but then they just kept doing it over and over until I left the field. And even then they were just not moving, and one of them was eyeing me up and kind of like turning towards me, and it was like, cows, man, gotta watch out. They can be really dangerous, and people die. Like, I don't know what it is, the statistic, but there's something like, I don't know, 20 people in the UK die every year because of cows. Like, they're more dangerous than bloody sharks. I think that's like an actual thing. Seems that shark attacks are, you know, I don't know, it's only a few, isn't there, like 3 a year or something in Australia or something like that. But cows kill like 20. It's mad, but they are dangerous. You have to be careful with them. Looky what we have here. A bit of wall, a tiny bit of wall, but it is wall. This is plane trees. I've just read about it a little bit. Oh, there's a thing over there. Oh yeah, you can actually, this is cool because you can see it. So it's an important piece of the wall because you can see the two different types of wall. So the broad wall and the narrow wall. This is literally where it meets. So here's the broad wall, and you can see there the architecture changes and it goes to narrow wall. So this is as far as they got making the broad wall right here at Plane Trees, and then they got the order here that no, we need to save time and we're going to make it a narrower wall. How cool is that? That's pretty cool. That there is a bit of it saved that literally changes. That's very cool. And they think one of the people to walk Hadrian's Wall, I'll get his name up, hang on. And they suspect it might be a guy called William Hutton who might have saved this part of Hadrian's Wall, because he walked it from end to end in 1801. And at Plane Trees here, it's supposed that a local farmer was dismantling the wall to use to build his own, you know, farmhouses and stuff like that. And Mr. Hutton basically told him no, and they campaigned for it or whatever, and this bit was saved, supposedly. So that's a nice little story, because most of it is really gone, hasn't it? I do like that though, you can see, you can't see it as much this side, but the other side you can really see where it goes narrow. Yeah, broad wall there, it's like an extra metre wide. Just say all the same information I've just said here from the guidebook, but there's a great artistic image here of them building it. And these were all soldiers, they didn't bring slaves to build it for them. These were legionaries. And yeah, as well as being skilled soldiers, they were skilled craftsmen as well. That's so cool. So there we are, we can say goodbye to Plane Trees. The only other proper section of the wall we have seen today, and it is getting later and later. It's beautiful now again, it's gone a little bit clearer, but yeah, time is getting shortish now. I'm not far from Chollerford at all, which would be the end, but I've got to go a bit after. It's like you know, maybe like an hour and a half after Chollerford I've got to get to for my end. And yeah, so it's looking like the detours at Chollerford. There's like a Roman bridge. It's not there properly anymore, but there are ruins of it, like you can see the base of it where it would have been, which would have been nice to see, but that's not looking that realistic at the moment. I've got to see about Chollerford when I get down there to see you know, the pub and that, see if I can get some food, and then I kind of got to make it straight to the accommodation as quickly as possible. I mean, you know, it doesn't go dark till about like 7:45, but I just don't really want to be, you know, going in there whilst it's pretty much dark. So I'd rather not. I'd rather get there kind of as soon as possible now, because it has been a long day. Oh, when the sun breaks through here, absolutely beautiful. And it just keeps happening, surprisingly. Like, it looks like there's loads of cloud, and then all of a sudden it just breaks through, and we have that. I have no idea where Chollerford is. A big sort of manor house there though, it's kind of cool. Hopefully Chollerford will just pop up very soonish onto us. Then we have like maybe another ruin first, a turret I'm reading about in the guide, which should be just before Chollerford, and it says it's probably the best preserved turret along the whole of the wall, so we'll see that, hopefully. The bridge is a no-go for sure. I've not got time to go to the remains of the bridge. It's off the path anyway. I'll have to show pictures of it, and maybe one day I'll return and just for the bridge. But definitely I don't have time today. Seems that I need to head on to my accommodation, which is a good hour and a half after Chollerford. Now this is more like it. This is stunning. Oh, I'm just so sad that tomorrow is probably going to be the complete opposite of this. We shall see. But oh, if all the main sections of the wall, maybe tomorrow I could have had them in sunshine like this, would have just been, oh, absolute bliss. We'll see tomorrow. I've just got a feeling it's going to be just complete rain for like the whole day. Oh, damn. Just heading slightly off course now into this field because the turret is up here, and actually a bit of the wall itself, like a decent section in comparison to what we've already seen. So let's check this out. Yeah, a decent section of the wall still surviving here, and then I think at the end there is the foundation of one of the turrets. Apparently, according to my guidebook, the best preserved, or possibly the best preserved turret. So that goes to show how much of it is gone. Seems that it doesn't look like there's loads here left either. It's probably this. I'm probably on the wrong side of it. Here it is, here's the turret. I mean, it's preserved in the way that, well, you can tell that it's a turret, at least, which is kind of cool. There we are. It's still, it mentioned this. It thinks it was some kind of like prayer altar or something, this was. That's cool there. So these were the small watchtowers that were built between the mile castles. There was two of these between each mile castle, and this would basically just as kind of shelter for soldiers. They found stuff like little gaming pieces and stuff like that. It's a place where they could sleep, relax, and then the mile castles garrisoned like a larger amount of soldiers. I think it says somewhere between like 20 or so, so there'd only be a few in here, like probably 3 or 4, if that, 2, on these little turret watchtowers. It goes to show you how little of Hadrian's Wall is left. Seems that this one is supposedly the best, most well preserved turret they have on the entire walk. But I know there are large sections of the forts and stuff like that, but they are usually the paid museums that have the big forts, and they have loads of stuff like. So I don't even know if we'll get to see any of them because I'm not paying to go on stuff. We're just doing the walk. But this was a teeny little detour that I just about had time for. It's really close to the route anyway. You can say goodbye to the, I think it was called the Bunton Tower turret. But a decent bit of the wall as well also remain on here. And the road is literally just down there. So it's barely a detour. And now to Chollerford. I've been talking about it for ages, but it's actually like 10 minutes away or so now. So hooray! But then boo, I've also got like another hour and a half after that. And yeah, it's getting late-ish now. It's like 25 to 6, so I've got to get a move on. So Chollerford, I think, is just over that bridge. Absolutely beautiful bridge in this light as well. So I can't promise a Roman bridge, I'm not going to see that, but we're going to go over Chollerford Bridge, I believe, which is a good enough alternative for me. So there we are, that's the bridge content sorted. Chollerford, here we are, finally. I mean, it looks like there's a gas station here. Like a petrol station. But I'm pretty sure my guide said it's closed down, and it looks very closed down. I was going to say otherwise I could get supplies, but I've rationed them out enough now, so it should be fine for today and tomorrow. But let's get to bloody Chollerford, just over the bridge, and then food. Here we go, Chollerford Bridge going over now. Absolutely gorgeous. Oh, look at this. Absolutely stunning. And on this side, embankment goes down there. So I think the old Roman bridge is a bit further down, but I don't have time to go for it. Oh, this is gorgeous. Just got to be careful when you cross, because cars come fast up here. But look at this. It speaks for itself, really. Absolutely beautiful sunset glow today. Well, tonight, this evening now. I've just been on a detour to get food, like 15 minutes up the road, just to stuff my face and then get back here, because yeah, it'll be bloody dark by the time I get here now. I've got apparently like an hour and a half from this point. But little tip as well, because I was short on time, went into, it was a place called the Crown Inn. It was like 15 minutes up the road, closest pub. Go in there and just bowl of chips, tap water, done. Because they gave me like a massive, they obviously know I'm hiking and whatever, so they give me a massive bowl of chips, but just, you know, when you're starving, they just taste like so incredible. Yeah, I'm almost delirious now. I was so excited eating them. So yeah, it was just that, £3, done, bosh. Rather than spending like 15, 16 quid on a bunch of, you know, on some fancy food, which when you're on your own, you don't need this. Hadrian's Wall Tourist Trail here, loads of stuff. And I think somewhere along here as well, it says something about Chester's Fort. It's like one of a really like fantastic fort and museum that's preserved and all that kind of stuff. However, we won't be going to it because it is a paid thing. It's one of those where it's like a paid museum, and that's one of the disappointing things about Hadrian's Wall. It depends how you look at it really, but all kind of the best bits are all behind a paywall, and I mean, you don't really have time, you know, if you're doing like this, like a 5-day, the standard 5-day like me. I don't think you have time to walk it and look through the museums. So the museums are something that you know, you've got to dedicate a day to and come back, which I'm looking forward to. But it's a bit of a shame that all the best bits I'm going to kind of miss. There's like a really, you know, quite extensive fort somewhere along here, really close by, that I'm not going to be able to see. So here's the entrance, Chester's Roman Fort here. You have to go down English Heritage, own it. So it must be quite a well preserved thing, but I have a bit of beef with English Heritage. They always seem to, I always think they overcharge for stuff, so God knows what the prices are to get in there, but yeah, you got to watch out for some of the stuff. They own a lot as well, it's annoying. I don't mind paying, but like some of it is ridiculous how much they expect you to pay for ruins that are barely there, you know, when you can go all over Europe and pay like €6 to explore this like grand extensive castle. That's enough about English Heritage anyway. Just believe me when there's probably a really impressive extensive Roman fort, ruins of one anyway, down there. I'll put some pictures up instead. Look at this grand place. God knows what it is. Very fancy though. It's a luxury stables is what it is, and there's more over that side as well. Yeah, for extremely rich and posh people by the looks of it, it is stunning, the grounds of it. Should have gone in and asked them for a glass of water. See the reaction. Oh my god, what? Oh, I thought that was a bit of wall. It's not. It's a pile of logs. I got excited. Hadrian's logs. It's the return of the cow problem. Hopefully they're not pissed at me. I mean, at least I'm not too close to these, but the ones further ahead, I've got to go between them or hope that they move. These don't seem too bothered about me at all, not even noticing me. If I suddenly turn on the camera, it's because I'm about to die or being chased or something. Okay, let's hopefully not die. Managed to pass them. They weren't too bad, but they do just stare you down and they will not move. And I think if you do get a bit too close, they might try to give you a nudge. But them ones weren't following me or anything. Hooray! Well, look who it is. If it isn't my favourite Roman ditch. Back again. I think we're walking on where the wall would be now. And that's north. Oh, frankly I don't care now. I can't be too far away from my bunk. Okay, I'm just walking down this road now to the accommodation. It's just a bit further down here. I've finally made it. Oh, probably about 10 minutes just walking here now. just before the sunset. It's been a beautiful evening. I am absolutely shattered though. Probably the hardest day is going to be today. I could live to regret that, we'll see. But I think so. I think in terms of length. But there we have it, day 2. We have barely seen any wall. I'm really disappointed that I hyped it up. I hyped up day 2. I thought we were actually going to see quite a lot of wall. No. Maybe it's day 3. Who knows? Maybe there is no wall. But I mean, beautiful countryside either way. But we've seen more wall than day 1. We can say that. But yeah, a lot less wall than I thought for day 2. For some reason, when I was just kind of looking on Google Maps, I kept seeing wall kind of like pop up, like ruins of walls and stuff along the way, and I was like, oh, okay. And we kind of have had a few, but they're very small and not for sustained periods. So yeah, day 2, beautiful countryside, but I feel like for the whole of this walk, day 2 feels like it's the one where it's just like you're kind of just slogging it through countryside to get to the main wall. Day 3, I think we go through like a national park where there's like no roads and stuff, because we've been following a road the entire day, which has been a bit annoying because it's never really been quiet. There's always been cars everywhere on that military road that went on forever. But there you have it. So I'm going to leave it today, part 2, day 2, here, walking to the accommodation. Join me again for the next part 3, where fingers crossed we'll actually get a good amount of wall. We shall see. Oh, also, I mean, we might have got some pretty cool stuff if things weren't locked behind English heritage museums like that fort, Chester's Fort, which is probably really impressive and a really, you know, it says it's one of the highlights of the whole of Hadrian's Wall. So the fact that that's kind of behind a museum that has an opening and closing time and all that is a bit of a shame, but I feel like that might be a bit of a theme for the whole of Hadrian's Wall walk, where if you really want to do it, it's worth doing for a long time, like maybe do an extra 3 days or 2 days, just so you can actually visit the museums properly, or just kind of lower your expectations to do the walk and you'll see a bit of the wall, but you won't see the best bits of the wall, which seems like it is going to be like that at the time being, but we will see what tomorrow brings. But yes, I'm rambling, so without further ado, like, subscribe, all that stuff, and I'll see you in part 3. Bye.